Good morning and welcome to Apex Online Racing. We're here today for the first round of a brand new season, Season 4 of PS4 Oceania, obviously here in Melbourne. My name's Alex and you might know me as Curly. I'll be bringing the stream for you today. And yeah, brand new season, brand new grid of drivers, a wide open championship as well. Just 10 races this time around, obviously with the early release of F1 2019 coming out at the end of June means that we have a shortened calendar compared to usual. Typically these second seasons on the game would run for roughly around about 15 races, but we just have the 10 rounds this time out, which means that every single point is critical, every single result matters that much more. But yeah, so brand new season with new drivers, some new rules as well. Now, for last season we had two tiers on both PS4 and Xbox. However, this season, with the number of signups, we're just going with the single tier on the PS4 side. I do believe that Xbox still has two. But with just the single tier, we've opened up some of the assist allowances. So I believe what's currently being allowed in this league, we've got the racing line, auto gears, and as well as medium traction has been allowed for some of the drivers. And that's just to help some of the guys moving up from the F2 tier to get used to things, but ABS still banned and everything else, so all of your kind of pit assists and stuff like that, those are all banned as well. But yeah, just to kind of ease that transition from those drivers moving up from F2. We do have a couple of those on the grid today, as we're watching one of our F1 drivers from last season, Sir LJB, make his way around the track. But yeah, Melbourne, always a track that puts up some difficult challenge for the drivers, and it's typically one that's very hard to overtake at, so qualifying is critical here. And we've got last season's Sauber pairing of Darren and Pete. They're in the Mercedes this season and currently doing very nicely indeed, 1 and 2 with that front row lockout at the moment. 12 minutes remaining in the qualifying session, so still plenty of work to do for the drivers. A little bit of a smaller grid than usual today. We should have closer to 20 for the remainder of the season. Just a few people away this weekend, but yeah, I'll get some of the tyre data up as well. A couple people going for a little bit of a different choice on the tyre strategy. LJB there on the Supras. Contrast actually done his lap on the soft, so expect to see some big improvements. A possibility that he would qualify in the super soft tyres. Looking at him doing a soft run at the start of the session would generally lead me to believe he might qualify on the Supras. Now, expect a one stop for this race for sure. Even for those starting on the ultra soft tires like Darren and Pete, those guys can do ultra soft, pitting anywhere from about lap 6 onwards. You generally go to about lap 6, 7, 8 on the ultras and then hop onto the soft compound tires, and they will make it to the end. If somebody does qualify on the super softs or starts outside the 10 on the super softs, then we'd expect to see them go until at least lap 10 and then put on a set of the soft compound tires. And anybody that starts on the softs outside of the top 10 will likely run well past the halfway mark and then put onto the super softs around about lap 15, 16. But yeah, of course, a brand new season, and it's a great opportunity for the drivers to just start afresh and try and improve on the mistakes from last season. There are a number of drivers on the grid that weren't necessarily too happy about overall their results, and we'll certainly be looking to place higher up. I think one of them probably being LJB made some big changes going into last season, obviously with the racing line ban. That's something he used in F1 2017, as well as switching from the pad to the wheels. That kind of double whammy for him there. Had a tough time early on in the season, but did certainly improve as the season went on. So yeah, I'm expecting to see some stronger results from him. And as for people we expect to see well up there right at the front, well, the two Mercedes setting the standard right now, but also keep an eye on the likes of Contrast and Amazing Hour, who were pretty quick last season. Amazing Hour coming in late in the season, but would certainly fancy himself for a title fight. But other than that, it's really wide open. Still yet to be seen what the pace of the drivers is like, and if any of our new drivers, any promotees from F2 can get amongst them early on. But yeah, let's go on a lap around Albert Park here in Melbourne with Darren, current provisional pole sitter, as he does have some cars coming out of the pits, just about getting out of the way before he makes his way through turn 1. A bit of a short shift up to 5th and 6th for the better traction. Just keep the car stable there as he makes his way down towards turn 3 now, braking just at the black box up on the left, and get the car slow down, second gear, tucked in nicely. You've got to be patient through this section. He runs a little bit wide actually, and that may have invalidated his lap. It's It's quite tricky through there. You've got to be very patient on the throttle as he now makes his way through 6 and 7. Once again, careful not to run too deep through those corners. Australia is a very difficult track to hook up, not just in terms of the technical challenge of the track, but also in terms of keeping it within the white lines. There are typically a lot of invalidated laps around here as he comes towards the end of the second sector and this very, very fast chicane. And this is another one where track limits can be an issue. Tail stepping out slightly for Darren, but this looks like a solid lap so far. He's still going on it, so I don't think that moment at turn 4 has invalidated things. As he makes his way into the final sector now, some slower corners coming up here and into the penultimate corner. Bring the car right across the right hand side there, get it tucked in, and he is going to back out. So he was in hot lap through that whole lap for me at least. I thought he was continuing on, but perhaps he has invalidated it and he brings it into the pits. So now there's a turn for his teammate to see if he can improve. And obviously with Darren now missing out on this second run, that's going to put him on the back foot compared to Pete in this qualifying battle between the pair of them. Switch tires over to fitted, see what everybody else is going for. So Sir LGB has moved on to the ultra soft tires. Contrast is now on the supers, and he's out there. He's giving himself enough time for perhaps an ultra soft run towards the end of the session. So yeah, keeping his options open there. Got a couple of Banana Josh fans in the chat. It's great to see. I'm going to hop on board with him. In the McLaren this season, up in overtake mode during his qualifying lap as well, getting absolutely everything out of the top speed of the car possible. It is a strategy we've seen from well, pretty much every driver as the season progressed, using the energy mixes in qualifying more efficiently than what hot lap will allow, and you know, turning the engine down a little bit through the slower corners so that you can have it up in overtake for the long straights, and you know, typically in 7th and 8th gear. Having that engine mode in overtake rather than hot lap does give you a little bit of extra top end speed. As Banana Josh, well, he appears a long way and is up to 4th in the McLaren. His teammate Aztec has retired from the session early on. I'm not quite sure what caused that, so just Banana Josh going for the McLarens at the moment. See who else we can hop on board with. Oh, Contrast has just improved up to 4th on his super soft tires, so that's looking very good for him so far. If he can hang on to that position on the super softs, he's got a big strategy advantage for the race. As well, just while we're on board with Banana Josh there, Pete Crichton did improve by a couple of tenths, but it wasn't enough to overhaul his teammates, so he's still got some more work to do going on to the final runs. He'll bring the car back into the pits now, but yeah, they'll just have one more run left on a brand new set of ultra soft tires. But he still needs to find a little bit extra if he wants to beat his teammate here. Darren is out for another lap, and I'm wondering if he will have enough time for perhaps 2 more runs. Obviously bailing out of that previous lap very early on has given him a little bit of extra time in this session, so it's a possibility. Or if he does make a mistake on this next lap, he be able to bail into the pits and get back out there. It depends how many sets of ultra soft tires that he brought. If he did bring 4 sets for qualifying, then yeah, he might be in a good spot. But here we go, around the final corner. That corner, it teases you the whole way around. You just want to get the power down, get full throttle, but you've got to be very patient through there so that you don't end up running wide. Oh, as Darren has run wide through turn 1 though, and that may have already invalidated his lap, and just didn't quite hook up the apex perfectly. You really want to be straddling that curb completely on the inside, but he was a little bit wide on the apex there, and that pushed him wide on the exit and completely off of the circuit, as he's all over the curves as well, coming through 3 and 4. So yeah, Darren just not quite hooking it up perfectly so far in qualifying. He does have a good banker on the board, currently sitting provisional pole. It's not a bad place to be, but his teammate is very, very close to him, and he'll be more than aware of that. Down to 3rd gear as well, just to get the nose in there and making his way back up the gears once again towards this fast chicane. And you know, this this chicane is really about how daring you want to get in terms of the pace that you take through there. I mean, you can really throw the car into it, but that does obviously come with a higher chance of not just a mistake, but also in terms of the track limits. It can be a little bit inconsistent through that chicane. At the inside of the second apex, you can sometimes get away with cutting quite a lot, so the drivers need to be careful of that. And of course, if you know, maybe he does take them to the stewards after the race if they've cut it and then the game hasn't penalised it, then they could receive a penalty for it. But Darren, yeah, I think he did invalidate that lap, but he will have time to go for another, assuming that he has enough tyres for it, which if he brought 4 sets of ultras he should. We've got Plebs on the super softs. Now Plebs is someone that improved massively as last season went on. Started off certainly down in midfield, but has worked his way up towards the front runners. He's out there on the super soft compound tires right now. See, once again, another one using the energy mode. You can see him in mode 2 there, and that's going to allow him to run, overtake on the straights and just get a bit extra top end speed via doing that. Bit of short shifting as well through the final couple of corners as he makes his way up towards the line. He's actually got quite a lot of energy left as well, so there's perhaps a tenth or two left in that lap for Plebs, and it's not enough to get himself ahead of Contrast. So maybe a little bit of mismanagement there. He's a bit too conservative on his energy usage, and I think it's cost him possibly 2 positions actually, because Amazing Hour is up there in 4th as well. Those 3 very, very close together on their super soft compound tires, so they're going for the same strategy, trying to run a little bit longer in that first stint. Of course, the Ultrasofts do have fairly significant degradation as the race goes on. LJB as well on a lap in the Haas, currently sitting in 8th place, but he'll certainly be looking to improve. He really needs to get himself up ahead of those super soft compound runners, otherwise he's going to be in a difficult position in the first stint, stuck behind them, and you know, then obviously as the stint goes on, it can be very difficult to keep up with them. I mean, the Ultras will be quicker than the Supers for the first couple laps of the race, but after that point, the Ultras do begin to fall away. So LGB now making his way through the final couple of corners and backs out of it, so almost puts it in the pit wall as well. Not quite ideal for LJB. He's going to struggle to make it back out there before the end of the qualifying session. It's going to need to be a very quick turnaround for Haas if he wants to get the car back out there for a fine run. Currently sitting in 8th on the Ultrasofts. That will not be where he wants to start. Hop up to Dynamite, who I don't think is on a lap. No, he's not. He's backed out of it. So Dynamite not able to hook up this lap in the way he wants. I'm not quite sure if he's actually coming into the pits or not. I think he might be. So let's see if we've got Harry Tomato. We've not seen much of him so far. One of our F1 drivers from last season who had a pretty tough time of it in terms of point scoring. Didn't pick up too many of them, so he'll be hoping for better fortunes this season in the Toro Rosso. Teammates with Infinite March as well. Gets the car slowed down nicely though for turn 3, and once again it's just a whole heap of understeer through turn 4, and he was a little bit too cautious through there. I said you had to be patient, but you know, once you've got that car lined up, you really do need to get hard on the throttle out there, because you carry that speed all the way down to turn 6. So like quite a cautious lap from here, Tomato, so far on the super softs, and in the position he's in right now, he desperately just needs to get any time on the board really. So that he's not right at the back of the grid, because you know, Australia, that grid position really is critical. Even if he's able to grab himself a couple of extra positions, that will be a huge help in terms of surviving the opening lap. But yeah, Harry Tomato on the super soft tires, going for that little bit longer run in the first stint. Quite a few drivers leaning towards that, as yeah, we've still got that group of Amazing Hour and Contrast. Plebs has actually gone out of the pits on the Ultrasoft, so he's not quite happy with his qualifying position, but it looks like Amazing Hour and Contrast are sticking to their guns in 4th and 5th, and they're going to hang on to that. Harry Tomato, will he get across the line? He improves this up to 10th place, gets himself in the top 10, but I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to hang on to that. We'll see what Krema's able to do on his super softs as well. His lap hasn't quite started yet, so let's go see. I think Banana Josh is on a lap, so we'll go across to him on the ultra soft compound tires, making his way through the second sector now. Through turn 9, runs a little bit deep there though, gets a whole heap of curve on the outside, just settles the car a little, and that will cost him time all the way down this curved run to the fascia chicane. Very cautious with the track limits through there. Tail getting a little bit happy though on the exit, just clip the inside curb slightly. You've got to be prepared for that going through that corner. Use as little steering angle as you possibly can, as if you got too much angle through there going through that curve, then yeah, the car will get very, very tail happy. Also depends on the setup as well. If people are running a 9 or 10 ballast, then yeah, the car can get very unstable through that section of track. A little bit of a scruffy lap though, seemed like on board from Banana Josh. We'll see if it is enough for an improvement. It is not, so he stays in 7th place. Plebs is out there on the Ultras, but let's move our way up to Darren. He's currently sitting on pole position. His teammate has been unable to improve, so this should be, I think, well, should be pole position just about locked down for him. Plebs is just behind him on the track, actually. He's probably the only other person out there that can really give a proper run at pole position here, but Darren on board now, just getting the car slowed down for turn 9 nicely. Bit of a short shift out there as well, better traction off of the curbs there. It's always very difficult to get the car up to speed through there now, through the fascia. Kane once again takes more curb on the inside than we saw from Banana Josh, and on the inside of the second apex as well. Pretty good line through there as he makes his way. He's got a car in front of him though. That's Crema, who might actually end up getting in his way a little bit. I think Crema's on a qualifying lap too, but he's on the slower compound. So this might compromise Darren through the final sector. And it has a bit. He's locked up massively going into the penultimate corner. Gets a whole heap of understeer as well. See if he gets a little bit of slipstream off of Crema. No, he's not able to. He backs out of it completely. And Darren is unable to improve. And the session is over because I think Plebs just drew across the line behind him. That is the qualifying session done. It looks like Darren has secured himself pole with that first banker lap. So yeah, it was the first one of the session that ended up being the pole time. People really struggling to hook up the laps and improve here in Melbourne. That's often the case. Drivers just it's such an easy track to invalidate at or make any sort of laundry list of mistakes around here. But there we go. It is a Mercedes 1-2. Those that have been watching the real life F1 season will be all too familiar with that right now. Plebs in 3rd place with a 19.9, so he improved a long way, bailed off of the Supersofts and has gotten himself in a really good position on the grid. Dynamite in 4th, Amazing Hour in 5th with Contrast alongside him on the Supersofts as well. Then we've got LJB, Banana Josh, Crema, Infinite March, Harry Tomato, Badass in 12th, Elton in 13th, and Azatak in 14th. So yeah, Harry Tomato with the first man with the free choice of tyres for the race. Interesting to see what he goes for. As the drivers ready themselves for the formation lap, making any kind of setup changes they're allowed to. Of course, Park Army is on for the AOR leagues. However, there are a couple things that you can change to your setup, your front wing angle. You can make some brake adjustments as well as your differential. So generally, from qualifying into the race, most sort of common changes are people pushing the brake bias forward a little bit, taking maybe a little bit of front wing off of the car as well, and opening up the differential, and that will just make the car a little bit more stable for the race. As in qualifying, especially around this circuit, you want a bit of an oversteering car just to help you get the nose into the corners. But in the race, once your car starts to oversteer, you can be in a whole heap of trouble in terms of looking after the rear tires, and it is the rear tires that tend to go at this circuit earlier than the fronts. As Darren leads the pack away, Mercedes with that 1-2, they'll be overjoyed with that, starting off the season in perfect fashion for them. But let's get the tire choices up. So outside of the top 10, we've got 3 drivers on the Supers, and it's only Elton that's gone for the soft, so he's going to run long into this race and hopefully stay with the train during that first stint, and then get some overtaking done towards the end of the race on what would likely be the super soft tires, and be very, very quick towards the end on that compound. But yeah, the ones to watch really, I think, during this first stint are going to be Amazing Hour and Contrast on the super soft tires. So the opening couple of laps, they'll probably just try and hold position, but after that point, they're going to be very, very quick. And towards the end of that first stint, if these front runners battle for a lead group battle, then they'll get up right behind them and possibly able to overtake as well as the ultra softs begin to wear. And those the laps really between about lap 5 and lap 10 are going to be the critical points in the race for these two guys on the super softs. as those Ultrasofts were towards the end of the first stint. They, might need to get a bit of overtaking done, and then the laps when the Ultrasoft runners have pit. The undercut's not that strong around here. It does take a little bit of time to get the soft compound tires up to temperature, as Pete and Plebs have managed to get themselves disqualified from the session, so that's going to do nothing to help their tire temperatures. So they're at risk from a poor start because of that, as the Salvers are nearly running into each other on the qualifiers, on the formation lap as well. Got to be careful that you do that, especially on the harder compounds, because if you start the race on stone cold supers or softs, you're in for a very, very difficult first couple of laps. So as the drivers line up, getting ready for 5 lights here in Melbourne, the first round of the 4th season of AOR Oceania on PS4, it is a Mercedes lockout on the front row. Darren on your left, Pete on your right. And it is lights out and away we go in Australia. Looks like a very good start for Plebs in 3rd place in the Renault. He's going to try and get involved with the 2 Mercedes up front, but they hold station. Darren leads through turn 1 from his teammate, and we had a bit of contact further back. It looks like Infinite March has dropped a number of positions as Plebs is coming under a huge amount of pressure from Dynamite. And actually there's been contact there, and Plebs is off around in the wall. Surely a lot of yellow flags waving there. There are. He's actually reset to track. Fortunately he ghosted. Not quite sure that was the best move, but Plebs has lost a whole heap of front wing, and that'll be his, well, any hopes of him ending up on the podium over from this race, as Darren had a brilliant launch. Actually, it looked like Plebs got the best run off the line immediately, but Darren in the second phase of the start powered away and held that lead into turn 1, so Plebs losing a huge amount of ground. I think he was battling with Dynamite there, his teammate Amazing Hour behind him on the super soft compound tires. So we'll be seeing team orders possibly from Sauber later on in this first stint. Don't count it out just yet. Contrast as well has dropped a little bit of ground to Amazing Hour. He needs to close back up and get within that DRS. He's got Banana Josh all over the back of him in the McLaren. Then we've got a gaggle of cars coming through 7th, 8th and 9th as the Red Bull is off. The Ferrari of Crema has I think just run a little bit deep there and pushed him off of the track. That's badass in the Red Bull. And he's lost a number of positions. He had a storming start from outside the top 10, but unfortunately he's lost all of it due to that contact there, as he drops back outside of the points, as Plebs is, I'm certain, going to make his way into the pit lane on this opening lap. I think he's got a pretty significant amount of damage on the front wing of that car. So Darren still leading the way with his teammate as his rear gunner at the moment. And these two are going to have to work together if they want to beat the likes of Amazing Hour and Contrast on that alternate strategy. Need to avoid battling with each other, as Dynamite already is struggling to hold on to the back of the 2 Mercedes. He's dropped out of the DRS range, and that's going to put him at risk of getting overtaken by his teammate possibly. Of course, the DRS is not available until lap 3, but once it is, it should give a better opportunity for the drivers to get a pass done. However, this is Albert Park, so making overtakes happen is not necessarily easy. Someone else is struggling as well. Contrast, he's dropping further back from Amazing Hour, 1.4 seconds now. Not able to hang with the Sauber driver. And Banana Josh is all over the back of him. So, yeah, Banana Josh obviously making his way up from F2 last season and is going very nicely in 6th place at the moment on those ultra soft tires, making the absolute most of them and hanging on to Contrast, who finished 2nd in the championship last season in F1. So he'd be very happy with that. And how that's looking right now, but we'll hop up towards Amazing Hour and this Sauber battle. He's quite close to Dynamite, who's of course lost the slipstream to the cars in front. Amazing Hour pulling very close to him into turn 1, gets a slightly better line through there, but he's going to have a hard time passing, I think, down into turn 3 if Dynamite does defend to the inside. He's actually letting his teammate go. So some team orders coming out for Sauber here, realizing Amazing Hour has the pace on these super soft tires. He wants to get after the Mercedes as soon as possible and put the pressure on them on their ultra soft tires. And yeah, Dynamite being a good teammate there, I think, and letting Amazing Hour through and see if Amazing Hour is able to tow him back up towards the Mercedes drivers. That's certainly what he'll be hoping for. But yeah, the 2 Mercedes guys just holding station at the moment. Not too much changing up here, just 7/10 the gap, and they'll be hoping to just drive as smoothly as possible. Look after these ultra soft tires is critical for them, because even though it is a one-stop race, if you push too hard early on in the stint, the ultras completely fall off the cliff by lap 5 or 6, and yeah, that puts you at a huge risk towards the guys behind you. But yeah, they're holding station nicely. It's just whether Amazing AOR can catch back up to them. As looking a little further down, Banana Josh not quite as close to Contrast on this lap as he was before, as Elton has retired from the race. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. I think he may have crashed coming out of the chicane, possibly. We'll see if we can get a view of it from Badass's car. Yes, look, there's a Red Bull off on the inside, just on the grass there on the right. So yeah, I think he has crashed out of the fast chicane, and his race is over. Unfortunately, ending on lap 4 here, but will promote Badass up into 12th. Him and Plevs making those very early pit stops, of course, picking up some damage. I think Badass got it from the collision with Crema early on that led them running off into the gravel. As we'll hop on with Sir LGB now, who's up on the back of Crema for 7th place. He's on the ultra soft tires, so yeah, Crema starting, I think it was 10th place. Let's get a look at the that's the wrong button. Brilliant job. Sorry, started in 9th and got the position changes there. So yeah, Crema and Banana Josh really the big winners of the opening lap. Harry Tomato as well finds himself up in the points. He'll be happy with that. But yeah, LJB just hanging on to the back of him now. And you know, Crema's someone we saw pretty much all the way through last season. A number of races where he started, you know, just outside the top 10 in 11th place, 12th place, and went for that alternate strategy. He's managed to go for it from 9th on the grid here. It's working out nicely for him. He's only 1.6 off the back of Banana Josh, who is really struggling now. It seems like he was all over the back of Contrast a couple laps ago, but he's really beginning to fall back from the Ferrari driver, and he's got another Ferrari coming up behind him. He's going to have to think more about that one than the one in front of him now, because yeah, his pace is falling off the back of Contrast a long way. He is beginning to close in the gap to Dynamite in front of him, just down to 1.2 seconds. So yeah, the ultra soft tires do seem to be going off a little bit now, and the super soft seem to be the compound to be on. But yeah, so we've got up front Pete as well. The gap's still just 7 tenths for those two. Just holding station nicely, working together. You know, when you have the car behind, it's a little bit easier to save your energy, to save your tires as well. Although saying that, Pete actually has less energy available to him than Darren does, so perhaps he's having to push a little bit harder just to stick with his teammate. Typically it's a little bit easier to save, but obviously if the guy in front has better pace, you might have to push harder to stay with him. And it really is critical around this track that you stay within the DRS as much as possible. It's hard to overtake, but so long as you're within the DRS, 3 DRS zones here, really does help. Free lap time does help you stay with the car in front and let them tow you along. So I think that's what's happening up here at the front. Amazing AOR, interestingly, not able to do much in terms of catching them. When he got past his teammate, that gap was only about 1.7 seconds. It's now 2.1. Now is around about the time where you'd expect him to really be gaining on the ultra soft runners, but it's not quite happened yet. So I think because these two guys in the Mercedes have been, you know, they don't have much battling to do, not any battling to do actually, that they've been able to look after those tires really well. It's taking longer for them to fall off the pace a bit than it was for those who had more battling further down the grid. Contrast is all over the back of Dynamite as well. Just 6 tenths back now. It's critical for Contrast Race that he gets this move done pretty quickly, because Dynamite is really falling off the back of the top 3. That gap now almost 4 seconds, and it was only I think 3 or 4 laps ago that he let his teammate through. So Dynamite really struggling on his tires. Something has happened further down the field as well. Banana Josh and Crema have come together. I think at the fast chicane they've got a lot of gravel on their tires, and is Banana Josh letting Crema back through? I think he is. Yeah, he has let him back through. So yeah, contact between the pair of them, and they've both lost a huge amount of time in a number of positions as well, as Contrast storms past Dynamite into turn 1, so he does get that move done. He's got 4.5 seconds up to Amazing Hour in front of him on the same compound of tires, so we'll see if Contrast's able to do anything in terms of catching Amazing Hour, but he has seemed to be struggling a little bit. He seemed pretty strong in qualifying, Contrast, but during the race he's not quite had the raw pace that Amazing Hour has had in front of him, and he is beginning to catch the lead too as well, who haven't made it into the pits yet. Lap 7, this is really when we'd expect the pit stops to start happening for the ultra soft runners onto the soft compounded tires. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the pit stops, obviously Darren will have first call, being the lead car. He can choose when he wants to come into the pits. If there's an ideal lap that him and his teammate have discussed, and that will be available to him. But of course they've got to be concerned about this Sauber coming up behind them, and how they're going to play the pit stops to stay ahead, because you know, don't count out Amazing Hour overcutting them possibly, because the softs do take a lap or two to get up to temperature, and those super softs can be very, very quick towards the end of the stint. So yeah, both Mercedes staying out though, neither one making it into the pit lane. They're trying to extend this stint as long as they possibly can. They don't want to give Amazing Hour too much of an advantage on the soft compound tires towards the second half of the race, but surely one of them will need to come into the pits on this lap at least, because otherwise one of them would have to pit lap 10, and that's probably too long for the ultra soft tires to go, as Amazing Hour is really reeling them in. Look at that, 1.3 seconds now. He's almost within the DRS, and this is a critical moment for him. He needs to get within the DRS as quickly as possible and put pressure on these guys, and then hopefully for his sake he can get the overcut done and maybe jump one of them. So yeah, Crema and Banana Josh a little bit further back have lost a huge amount of time, 11 seconds off the back of Harry Tomato. So for those guys, yeah, that's really hampered what was looking like a pretty strong race for them. A lot of work for them to do, and that's promoted LGB and Harry Tomato up further. They'll be very, very happy with 6th and 7th at the moment, but we'll see if anybody is going to come into the pits on this lap. Surely one of these Mercedes drivers will go for it, and neither does. They stay out once again, extending the stint. So this is surely playing into Amazing Hour's hands. He's within the DRS now, and yeah, these guys, one of them's going to have to pit on lap 10 at the earliest, because they can't double stack. You know, you lose way too much time. They're far too close together for that. You really need a 5 or 6 second gap if you want to double stack. So that's brought Amazing Hour right into it, and yeah, just extending the stint much further than I thought that they would. Of course, since the tire temperature patch a couple of well, about a month ago now, you know, the ultra softs are a little bit more durable. Beforehand, at least in season 3, the main limiting factor on these tires was the temperature around this circuit, whereas now it would more be on the wear rates of the tires. So the ultra softs are still hanging on. I don't think there's anybody else pit off of them. LGB has. LGB's come into the pits for a set of softs, so we can get a look at his pace and see what he's doing. But Pete is actually all over the back of his teammate now as well. He's been able to save his tires a little bit better in the slipstream than Darren has, and really starting to close up to his teammate. Amazing Hour right on the back of them as well, but looking further back, Contrast is not able to stick with him, just simply does not have the pace at the moment. And surely this time, yes, Darren does move into the pits, and Peter's going to have to hold off Amazing Hour through the rest of this lap. Got some very, very worn ultra soft tires. You can see him weaving a little bit towards the middle of the racetrack there, just try and break the slipstream slightly from Amazing Hour. But yeah, those guys running much longer than I thought that they would. Amazing Hour getting pretty close into turn 3, but he's not close enough. Next best overtaking opportunity is probably going to come down into turn 13, but yeah, he's all over the back of the Mercedes though, and now Pete's got a real problem here, because if he pits now and Amazing Hour pits on the next lap, then there's a very real possibility the Amazing Hour can overcut him, because the softs do take a lap or two to warm up. So the undercut, the 1 lap undercut here at least, is not that powerful. If you're able to pit 2 laps earlier, then that can be quite strong. But Pete will be hoping right now to jump his teammate, possibly. Just got to wait and see how this all plays out. Although Amazing Hour running very, very wide through the chicane there, that's cost him a bit of time, and every tenth of the moment is absolutely crucial for these drivers. Darren has managed to get himself out in clean air as well. Big gap between Harry Tomato and Krumma, and he fits perfectly in that. He's got a few seconds up to Harry Tomato in front of him as well that he can use to push in, as Pete does make his way into the pits. So Amazing Hour is released, and this next couple laps is critical for him. He doesn't have a massive amount of energy to use though. He wasn't able to save that much behind them. He only just caught up to them, of course. So now we're going to have a look at the Mercedes pit stop. The soft tires have already gone on as Pete trundles his way towards the end of the pit lane. And where is his teammate coming around the final corner here? And has Pete done just about enough to jump Darren? It's going to be side by side leaving the pit lane. I think they can be side by side into turn 1 as well, as Darren swoops around the outside and maintains the lead in Australia, just getting the job done. Critical outlap there for him, and he maintains the position over his teammate. These guys are going to be concerned about Amazing Hour though. Not the job done yet at all. They've got to push flat out, because Amazing Hour is probably going to try the overcut here. We'll see if he pits on this lap, or if he decides to extend his stint possibly. He's up in overtake mode. He's using every inch of ERS that he has, so possibly he'll pit this lap and just try and jump them, using the absolute most of those super soft tires for it. But yeah, so Darren maintaining that position. Of course, Pete will need to get his tires up to temperature as well. He just needs to hang within the DRS while he does that, because if he drops out, then I think he can probably wave goodbye to his teammate. We'll see if Amazing Hour does come into the pit lane. He is going to come into the pit lane using every inch of track as well. Nearly clips the wall on pit entry there as he makes his way through. So Darren and Pete. Pete's actually held on to Darren very nicely on this lap. He's closed up a little bit despite having cooler tires. So yeah, he's doing very, very well to get those up to temperature. But it's going to be, where is Amazing Hour coming out in relation? He's leaving the pits now. Is he going to be able to jump one of these two Mercedes? Is he possibly going to be able to jump both of the Mercedes? He's going to get ahead of both of them, I think, as Darren is all over the back of him out of the pits. There's contact between the two of them. They nearly take each other out. They just about hang on to the cars as Pete is trying to make his way past as well. And it looks like Amazing Hour just taking the lead, but no, they're side by side through turn 3 as Darren goes for a big lunge around the outside. Amazing Hour just about holding on to it, but I think Darren has just about muscled his way through. He has gone ahead of the Sauber, but Darren, Darren only just hanging on to the lead here. Amazing Hour with a brilliant in-lap and nearly nabs both in the Mercedes. Some hard fighting between them all, but yeah, quite a lot of contact between the drivers. They were lucky, to be honest, to not take each other out through turn 1 and 2. But now Amazing Hour does have the best tires of the trio. He's managed to split the Mercedes. He's only got one more to pick off. But he's got to get these up to temperature as well. And Pete wants to get this position off of him immediately. Doesn't quite get the exit he needs though out of the fast chicane. He's not able to get close enough down into turn 13. As these guys are right together now. And this battle will go on for the rest of the race, I'm assuming. The slipstream here is pretty strong. So expect to see these guys staying together. In terms of the energy situation as well, just flipping through them to see that. Amazing Hour does have the most ERS available to him, so he's got a little bit extra to burn to possibly get a move done on Darren. He is up in overtake mode, trying to put pressure on that leading Mercedes as they run through turn 1 once again. It's all about the exit out of 2. He uses every single inch of track available to him, and now he's got a great opportunity down into turn 3. He's going to have to go the long way around. He's very late on the brakes. He tries to hang it all the way there. He gets shoved clean off of the track though by Darren, not giving him an inch of space, and he's not able to get the move done. So Darren defending very, very hard to hang on to his lead now, and Pete is all over the back of Amazing Hour. Can he try something into turn 6? No, he can't. He weaving around there, trying to put Amazing Hour off, force him into a mistake, but he's not able to do it. Amazing Hour is getting very close as well to Darren, possibly down into turn 9. Darren actually feels like he has to defend the inside. It's going to compromise his exit, and now Amazing Hour has an opportunity to get the move done, possibly going into the fast chicane. He'll surely have to go the long way around. No, he's not quite close enough, and Darren holds on for another couple of quarters. But how long could this possibly last? Amazing Hour all over the back of him once again with the DRS in the overtake mode, but he's not close enough, surely, no. And yeah, This is very, very tense up front. Missing everything that's happening in the midfield for this one, but Amazing Hour all over the back of Darren through the final couple of corners, and surely he's going to have a better opportunity into turn 1 on this lap. He's all over the back of the Mercedes, and here we go down towards turn 1. DRS open in the slipstream with overtake mode on. Darren feels like he has to defend the inside, and they're going to go side by side into turn 1. No, Amazing Hour is looking for the exit possibly, and Darren's made a little bit of a mistake there, and surely Amazing Hour now is the best opportunity he's had. He's got his nose ahead into turn 3. He brakes later. They're still side by side, but he's just about ahead, wheel banging the way through turn 3. He gets the nose ahead for turn 4, and that is the position done. Nearly stacks the car in the wall on exit, but there we go. Whoa, hold on, we had a big mistake there from Darren, and he loses a position to his teammate as well. Got caught up on the curb on the inside of turn 5. Car all over the place underneath him. He does somehow hang on to it and keep it out of the wall, but it was a brilliant move from Amazing Hour. Great battling from those two. He takes the lead. Pete now takes the position from his teammate, and Darren has gone from first to third in just a couple of corners. So yeah, now it's just going to be down to whether Pete can hang on to Amazing Hour and put some pressure on him. Darren with that mistake all over the grass, and he's dropped out of the DRS because of that. It takes a little bit of time to clean the tyres up, and you've got to be very cautious when that does happen, because it's very easy to spin in that kind of situation. A little bit further back as well, interestingly, we've got Infinite Marcher on the ultra soft tyres. He's possibly two-stopping this race. Certainly wasn't expecting that one. We'll see how he gets on as things have stabilized a little bit up front. We'll go take a look at LJB, who's getting the position off of Crema, who's come into the pits after a long stint on the super softs. He's hopping onto the soft compound tires to run to the end of the race, but obviously that contact with Banana Josh earlier on has cost him a huge amount of time. And Crema, who was looking great for possibly P6 or P7 at one point, is now battling for the very tail end of the points. Banana Josh makes his way past because Crema had to get a new front wing, I think. Where else is Plebs in all this? A little bit behind. So yeah, Plebs, if he's got good pace here, there's a possibility of still grabbing some points despite that huge crash on the opening lap, as Pete Crichton's all over the back of Amazing Hour as well. A bit of trouble getting through the menus there, but as he goes for a huge lunge into turn 13, Amazing Hour is actually really slow on the brakes there, and they're side by side now through the final sector. He's got the nose ahead, and Pete Crichton gets the move done very unexpectedly on the Saubers. This battle is by no means over. Pete showing the Mercedes still have plenty of fight left in them, even if Darren did have that mistake. I don't know if Darren has wing damage because he's really struggling, but they're going to be battling into turn 1 once again, as Pete is weaving all over the circuit to break the slipstream, as Amazing Hour gets a great run though through turn 1 and 2, and he makes his way. No, he's not close enough. He's backed off in the RS as well, and Pete Crichton, while opportunistic is certainly the word for that move in the final sector, and he got it done beautifully. So we have a Mercedes up in front again, but Amazing Hour all over the back of him. This battle will carry on as long as the race lasts, I think. Darren is beginning to close into them as well as they battle a little bit. Yeah, been a huge amount of wheel banging between the three of them. I'm surprised that there's not been any damage yet. Of course, in the F1 games, the front wings are very fragile, but in terms of kind of wheel-to-wheel contact, you can get away with quite a lot. There's no kind of suspension damage, so yeah, that's why the drivers can get away with so much wheel banging here. Yeah, Amazing Hour getting very close towards turn 13, but he's not quite close enough. Main thing for these guys now is going to be about how do they manage their fuel, how do they manage their energy, and use that at the right time. Look at Pete Crichton, he's very low on both. He's got the yellow fuel light on, so he needs to do some saving. He has very little energy as well. He's only actually in mode 1 along the main straight. Suggests to me that he's really concerned about that and feels like he has to save as much as possible. And look at this as well, Amazing Hour. He's not using too much, he's only in mode 2 there, so yeah, not going for an overtake. He is trying to build up that ERS as much as he possibly can to have a move perhaps in a couple of laps time He does have a very slight tire advantage over Pete Crichton, but it's only one lap. Those Mercedes were able to take those ultra soft tires much further than I thought they'd be able to, and that's given them more life to fight with at this point. Darren behind them, 1.9 seconds, having a hard time catching back up now that he's dropped out of the DRS. He's got to hope that these two battle even more if he wants to get back up in this battle for the win. But yeah, a little further back, things are spreading out quite a lot. Obviously some of the contact as well having a big effect on that. Plebs has actually managed to get himself up into 9th despite that early crash, so it's a good recovery going on from the Renault driver there. But yeah, the gaps are looking pretty big further down the field. Contrast is, I think, slightly catching Darren actually compared to the gap before the pit stop, so he's maybe finding a little bit more pace on the soft compound tires than he did on the supers in the first stint. We'll see if he's able to close into this lead group, because he does have fresher tires than all of them. His Amazing Hour once again getting very close to Pete, but he's still building that ERS. Look at that, he's nearly at a full bar now, whereas if we look at Pete, he's only got half. So yeah, Amazing Hour using the slipstream, using the DRS, and is able to build that up. He's still in mode 0, just cruising behind the Mercedes. And I'm sure we'll see probably at some point in this lap and maybe the next lap, he'll start upping those modes and try and get a move done for the lead. Yeah, kind of mind games going on here between the two drivers in terms of who uses what energy modes and fuel modes right now, and what they save towards the end of the race, because if you go for a move too early, use all of your energy, and then they'll just pass you straight back. So you've got to make sure that when you do go for the move that you get it done right, and you've then got enough energy left to possibly try and pull away. As Pete Crichton actually sets the fastest lap of the race on this lap. So yeah, he's put the hammer down a little bit. I think he's maybe trying to break the slipstream to Amazing Hour, but he's used pretty much all of his energy to do so, and he's not able to pull away. He's going to have to save for a little while as well after doing that. He's not been able to get away from him. So for Amazing Hour, that's going to give him an opportunity possibly within the next lap or two to make a move. If he does want to burn through his energy, you can see he's putting the modes up now, up to mode 4, and that says to me he's kind of lining up to get the move done. Yeah, further back, I mean, things are very, very spread out. Darren is just not able to hang on to the pace of this lead 2. I don't think he got any damage from his mistake there at turn 5, but I think he might have toted his tires a little bit by sliding around off the track, and might just be struggling with that. But yeah, Contrast not really able to close in at all. He's actually losing ground to Darren. So yeah, looks like this is turning into a 2-horse race for the win here, as Amazing Hour is all over the back of Pete. He's up in overtake mode, so here we go. This is the best opportunity he's had in a while, and he's going to go for the move around the outside into turn 1, surely. Is he later on the brakes? No, he goes once again for this kind of switchback line that he tried on Darren. He's trying it on his teammate now as they go side by side down into turn 3. And once again, can he be later on the brakes? No, Pete is very late on the brakes. He actually locks up a little bit. Amazing Hour trying to switch back, but it's not quite worked out for him, as Pete parks the bus through turn 4 and prevents any kind of move there. But they're almost side by side into turn 6. They are going to go side by side, and Pete hanging on once again. But Amazing Hour should have a better exit here. He's going to have to go the long way around at turn 9. This would be a very bold move if he gets it done. Once again, looking for a better exit. Getting himself within that slipstream. He's going to go possibly around the outside of the chicane. Surely not. Yeah, he backs out of it, and this is allowing Darren to catch back up to him. But look at the exit that Amazing Hour gets. He has to switch to the outside though, as Pete defends on the inside. and they're going to go side by side down into turn 13. Oh, he's got the move done easily. Runs really deep though, actually. Misses his braking point almost. Has to defend very aggressively into this fast right. Oh, he shoves Pete off the track a little bit. But Amazing Hour does get the position done, and look who this has brought into it. Darren now. And we once again have a 3-car fight for the lead, although Pete has used all of his energy battling there. Amazing Hour's used most of his as well, and Darren's got quite a lot. So, yeah, for these guys, it's worked out quite nicely for Darren. The lead pair battling so hard has brought him back into it, and he now has enough energy to burn to stay with them. He does have the oldest tyres of the group, but these soft tyres are very durable, so that doesn't make a huge difference in terms of raw lap time. However, looking at this though, Pete is struggling to hang on to Amazing Hour, who's burning all of the energy that he possibly has to try and pull away. And look at that, Team Orders Mercedes. Darren going past his teammate. He's got more to fight with, I think, at the moment. And Pete has realised that he's really struggling in terms of energy and fuel. He has to let his teammate go through if they want to possibly win this race for Mercedes, and see now if he is able to catch up to Amazing Hour, who has run his energy basically dry pulling away. But he has managed to pull away though. 1.3 seconds. He's out of the DRS, and it's now down to whether Darren can possibly catch him in the remaining 8 laps of this race. He needs to try and do it quickly. But Amazing Hour, he's very, very low on that energy. He's back up into overtake once again though. He's using everything that he possibly can to keep this gap above that 1 second. If he's able to maintain that, then a little bit fresher tyres, he might well be able to pull away. But Darren, he's just holding a 1.3 at the moment, so very, very tense moment for these two drivers, trading lap times, and it's just down to who can if either driver makes even just a slight mistake, that would pretty much be the battle over. And either Amazing Hour will pull away, or Darren will get back within that DRS and then be able to use that to pull up closer. But yeah, they look very closely matched in terms of lap time at the moment. Although saying that, Amazing Hour has just lost 3 tenths pretty much instantly out of the corner. So I think he made a slight mistake through turn 6. And Darren is able to just about get within the DRS. Is going to be very close by the detection point. Coming through the fast chicane now. Bit of a creative interpretation of track limits, and he does have the DRS, so Darren has done it. He's kept himself within that margin to Amazing Hour. He's still very, very low on that energy. So Darren now running very low on fuel though. Both Mercedes having fuel issues. Pete is completely fallen off the back of these two. He seems to be really struggling. He might have absolutely destroyed his tyres when battling with Amazing Hour and trying to maintain that lead from him. But yeah, now we've got Darren setting the fastest lap of the race. There we go. And he gets a big moment oversteer through turn 2. Almost loses it. But yeah, fastest lap of the race from Darren. That's really setting the gauntlet down to Amazing Hour and letting him know that he's not going to storm away with this race win just yet. And really critical lap there from Darren, able to push that hard and to close in that gap, because now he's kept himself within this battle for the lead. A little bit further back, Plebs has made his way up past Banana Josh. He's got much fresher tyres on those soft, so basically nearly the whole field apart from Infinite March on the soft compound tyres. Now Infinite March only 1.5 seconds off at the back of Crema, so there's a possibility that he could end up in the points at the end of this race. Not seen too much of the midfield, really anything below the top 3 for the last 10 laps, so it doesn't look like these guys have been battling so much, and there hasn't been a huge amount of battling further down. A couple of overtakes here and there, but the gaps from sort of 4th down are really quite large at the moment. Just the way that the race has panned out. Obviously with the incident between Crema and Banana Josh, they would be right in that sort of middle of the point scrap at the moment, but those two coming together has cost them massively. But yeah, I mean, in terms of everything else, the grid's very the positions at least are very stable. Contrast in 4th, he's just not quite able to catch up to this lead group. Just doesn't quite have the raw pace today, which is not something you normally say about Contrast. But yeah, he's just not been able to match the top 3 pace-wise. Dynamite in 5th, having a very good race. LGB in 6th, also with a pretty solid race for him. And then Harry Tomato would be, I think, ecstatic, finishing P7. Had a really tough time last season. If he's able to get 6 points on the board today, that would be fantastic for him, as Crema has made his way past Banana Josh. So yeah, there's another position for Crema. Finally gets that move done. Obviously those two tangling earlier on in the race. And Infinite March is on the back of Banana Josh now as well. Banana Josh on some pretty worn tyres. 13 laps he's done. He's had to pit actually, so I think Banana Josh might have made a mistake somewhere and has had to pull it into the pit lane. Now Darren right on the back of Amazing Hour as well, very close, and Amazing Hour seems to be really struggling compared to the 2 Mercedes drivers in this final sector. That's I think the 3rd or 4th time we've seen one of them attempt to overtake him through the slower section of track, so maybe he's running less wing, or yeah, just doesn't have the raw pace through the slow corners compared to the 2 Mercedes drivers, as Darren is pushing really, really hard in terms of his energy as well. He's run that right down. Only 4 laps to go here between the pair of them. And yeah, Darren all over the back of him. He had a look at the 3rd sector, but he wasn't quite close enough to get the move done. And he's just got to pick his moment now, try and force Amazing Hour into some kind of mistake, or maybe try and build up a little bit of energy and have him go at it in the final couple of laps. Although, speaking of mistakes though, it is actually Darren that makes a mistake through turn 6 and loses himself 3/10, possibly 4/10. He's at risk of dropping out of the DRS here. This is a great opportunity for Amazing Hour to break that toe. Darren just running too deep into turn 6, and yeah, he's really struggling in terms of the DRS. So we'll see if he's going to keep it open. He does just get it. I think he only got it by about 1/100th of a second. Or has he actually? DRS is orange for me, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but yeah, he's dropped out of it. So now Amazing Hour, taking advantage of that mistake from the Mercedes, is able to pull away. He's got himself up to 1.3 ahead, and is at the critical moment in this race for him. And he's broken the DRS. Darren is starting to fall back now as well, 1.4 seconds. Actually, Pete's beginning to catch his teammate a little bit, as Amazing Hour makes his way through the first couple of corners. And yeah, he is pulling away. So looks like he's got a couple lap fresher tyres than Darren, and that's making all the difference at this stage of the race. So this is all down now to whether Amazing Hour can maintain this lead and just keep it mistake free for the final few laps. That's all he's got to do really at this stage. 1.6 is the gap up to 1.7 now. I think Darren has pretty much just run out of decent life in his tyres, and is really starting to fall back the moment he dropped out of that DRS on the last lap. He's falling away significantly, and his teammate now is going to be a concern to him, 1.3 behind. He was struggling earlier on in the stint. His contrast picks up a penalty. There was some pretty big gaps, so I'm not sure that's going to make too much of a difference. But yeah, Pete getting pretty close to his teammate, so possibly these podium positions are not quite finalised yet. If he's able to get anything done, but runs a little bit wide through the final couple of corners, and loses, I think, a bit of time. No, he hasn't actually. He's actually gained time still on his teammate. So yeah, it's Banana Josh with the fastest lap of the race, and the ultra soft tyres right at the end there, down in 12th place. I think he had to pit for wing damage a couple of laps ago, and that's why he's on the ultra softs now. But he's a long way off the back of Az's attack, so he's not got much hope of reeling in a 14-second gap in 3 laps. But yeah, Pete is he's just not quite close enough to his teammate. He needs to get within that 1 second gap really by the end of this lap. He wants any hope of actually overtaking him by the end of the race. These guys seem pretty evenly matched. I mean, to be honest, the whole top 3 has been very close on pace all the way through this race. It just seems now that in the moment Amazing Hour was able to break that DRS, and as we're getting towards the end of the stint, as these soft tyres are getting quite worn, he's just got a little bit more life left in those tyres, and Darren is just not being able to hang on to him. as they make their way around the final corner, and just 2 more laps here to go in Melbourne. Things looking pretty stable now. Of course, there is the ever-present risk of penalties at Albert Park, so we'll see if anybody does have a penalty come the line. Of course, the top 3 is still close enough for that to be a concern, although I don't know if any of them do have penalties or not. But yeah, it is Amazing Hour in first, Darren in second, Pete in third. What a great battle those guys have had so far this race. But those positions look pretty stable now, barring a mistake in the final couple of laps from any one of these drivers. Could swap things around. Contrast, who we've not seen much of in this race, currently sitting in a very, very lonely 4th place, and then Dynamite as well, very lonely 5th place. Started in 4th, and yeah, you know, just he's had a really solid race. This Dynamite wasn't quite able to hang with the top group pace-wise, but yeah, he's kept it clean. He's going to get a good haul of points because of it. LJB in 6th, followed by Harry Tomato in 7th, who's, I think, actually closing up to LJB a little bit. So yeah, it's been a good step up from Harry Tomato so far in this race compared to last season. I think he was helped a little bit out by the incident at lap 1 with Plevs, who's somehow recovered up to 8th place. He's had fantastic pace. I think he's certainly had similar pace to the front running group, but unfortunately he just lost so much time on that opening lap that he's not really been able to show it too much. But he will salvage some points at least, and in a season as short as this, it's only 10 races. You know, if you have a lap 1 incident, if you're able to recover into the points, then that is absolutely crucial, because every single point matters. Well, I mean, they mattered double as much as they did last season with the 21 race season. So yeah, speaking of some battling, Banana Josh has actually made his way past Azatak somehow. I think Azatak must have made a mistake there, because that gap was 14 seconds about 2 laps ago. Suddenly Banana Josh is up ahead of him, but this is just for 11th place, so yeah, no points on the board for McLaren, barring some kind of last lap crash. As Pete is getting pretty close to his teammate once again, just 1 second between the two of them. Darren really falling off the back of Amazing Hour in the last couple of laps, just doesn't have anything left in his tyres to fight with. But Pete's not going to be close enough for DRS, and yeah, we'll come around the final sector now with Amazing Hour. What a great race he has had. Started on the super soft tyres, and yeah, he started 5th on the grid, I think it was, or yeah, it was 5th on the grid for him. Kept it very clean, obviously gained a position early on, managed to get himself past Dynamite as well and catch up to the 2 Mercedes drivers. It's been a brilliant drive from Amazing Hour, a lot of hard battling between him and the Mercedes, but he does pick up the win here in Australia. Great start to the season, a Mercedes double podium. Very solid race from these two, just weren't able to hold back Amazing Hour on that strategy. Once he got up into P4 on lap 1, it was always going to be an uphill battle for them. Contrast finishing in 5th. Sorry, in 4th. Get my words mixed up there. Yeah, Contrast in 4th. Very lonely race. Only really had that one battle with Dynamite, who will come home in 5th position. And there we go. And then we get LGB rounding the final corner. We're not seeing much of him either from this race, but he'll be very happy, I think, with 6th place, pulling over to the pit wall. Say hello to his team. Very happy with that. Harry Tomato with I think it was a penalty for LGB possibly there, only finishing 2.5 seconds behind. So yeah, another good race for him. And then obviously the recovery drive from Plevs. Picks up a 5-second penalty for an unserved stop-go, but Kramer is too far behind for that. He will come home in 9th. Contact between him and Banana Josh really damaging his race. Otherwise, I think he could have been up there with LGB and Harry Tomato. And then Infinite March is the final man to cross the line, and the final man in the points for P10. He will pick up that solitary point. Pretty quiet race from him, but I think we'll be quite happy with a point here coming up from F2. But yeah, it was obviously a day really for the podium drivers. What a brilliant battle we had between the Sauber and the 2 Mercedes. And yeah, Amazing Hour setting the first victory of the season, the first real marker in the championship. But I think if that race is anything to go by, we're in for something pretty special this season between those 3. very, very similar in terms of pace between the three of them. But it is amazing hour with the win. Pete in second, Darren in third, and we have the remaining positions there. Did lose two drivers during the race, Badass and Elton. Elton we lost on lap 4 out of the fast chicane, and Badass we lost a little bit later on in the race. Those guys will finish 13th and 14th. But yeah, been a pretty interesting race. We had a really brilliant battle for the podium between the Saubers and the Mercedes all the way through there. Very interesting to watch. Hopefully we have a little bit more happening in the midfield in the next couple of races. I think due to the crashes early on that really sort of got in the way of some of the midfield fights that we would have had. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining me here today. It's been a good first round, and we'll be here next week at the same time for the what track is it? It's either Bahrain or China is the next race. I need to double check on that one, which one actually comes first. I think it's Bahrain, but yeah, thanks for joining me. And if you want to watch any more racing going on, I don't think there was an Xbox stream this morning, but for the European leagues later on today, it's 8 p.m. UK time is the standard for all the F2 leagues in Lower. If you're looking for the F1 tiers, PS4 F1 will be at 7 p.m, PC F1 at 8 p.m, and Xbox F1 at 9 p.m. But yeah, thanks for joining me, and I hope everybody has a great Sunday.